Hello, my name is Adrene Wike, and thank you for joining me for our Metui Resiliency Storytelling. I'm excited to hear and be able to share these next two stories. Haas, I'm going to pass it over to you first to share your resiliency when it comes to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the opportunity. Yes, indeed. Entrepreneurship usually goes hand in hand with resilience. But you see, there's something really interesting about resilience is the fact that it defies any logic. You see, it's really when it comes down to. Okay, there's a lot of noise behind. Sorry, can you hear this noise? I hope whoever's doing the editing is gonna feel that. All right. Okay, so yes, what I was saying is the fact that entrepreneurship goes hand in hand with resilience makes total sense, but in the meantime, it defies logic. Why? Because when you start a venture or a company, everybody around you, deep down in their soul, they think it's not going to work. Why? Because, you know, you don't have that third party credibility. You don't have that success story prior to that, especially when you start from, the bottom of the social ladder in Africa. So my family was from Africa initially, and our last name is Zaoulai. Zaoulai means the poor. So we lived literally in the gutter, literally. And when they basically fled to Europe, we had to live around 18 years as illegal aliens, and then became refugees. And at 18 years old, I became a French citizen. So that's easier said than done, but you can obviously imagine what it means in terms of life or in a family life. So you live in a violent neighborhood. There's some dysfunctional dynamics inside the home, outside the home. You sleep on the couch for 11 years. It doesn't make any sense. So when you come to someone and say, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to build something, it doesn't compute. Just get a job, dude. Try to find a job or try to get your papers in order for you to find a job as a mechanic or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. But obviously that resilience defies any logic. And at the end of the day, it worked out pretty well. Today Adaptica is one of the metaverses for education and professional development. We are all over the world. But it's true that I kind of carry that lack of logic everywhere I go, because logic is just a way to see things, right? And sometimes it makes sense, but sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like, for instance, I'll tell you a very, very interesting story. When I first went to university, we were 800 students at the university, right? 800 students going to med school. And I was one of the youngest, but also the darkest skin-wise in France. And the first question that most people asked me at that time, every single morning, at least for 3 months, do you have any weed? Do you have any weed? Do you have any weed? So my logic here is that who the hell would accept to live in very precarious conditions and say no to all these demands? The demand is here. I can very easily get suppliers now and sell weed. And obviously stop taking my mom to the Salvation Army or all these supermarkets where they give you a can of this, a can of that. It defies any logic. Doesn't make sense. Anyone in this situation would say, of course I'm going to start selling weed. I'm poor, I'm broke, I have no money, and my parents have no money. I need to do something. What are you doing trying to study? The demand is here. This is where logic sometimes, it's not necessarily a good thing. You just need to feel something inside you and keep staying focused. It's really about focus at the end of the day. So I'll leave it there. But yeah, this entrepreneurship journey has been quite exciting, and thank God a success. But I would assume that if I was to sell weed, I would have been very successful until something bad happens.
right? That's a whole different kind of risk. Different kind of entrepreneurship risk. I think the part I loved about your story too was that you didn't give up. You had these ideas, and you kept pressing forward, even if you had to pivot what that looked like. And so I think for me, that's what was so touching about your story, and what so many entrepreneurs need to hear, that it might take years and there might be struggle, but you can keep going and eventually build something successful. So that's what I loved about getting to watch that video and your journey and what that looked like. So thank you so much for sharing. And I loved that you could have sold weed.
But I mean, the bottom point is that entrepreneurship or resilience is not easy. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called resilience. It's really hard, and you need patience, and you need sometimes to defy your own logic. It's not easy, and it's still not easy for me or for anyone else. So hang in there, whoever is struggling right now. You will see the
Yes.
light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely. And we share a lot. I run an entrepreneurship program with my organization, and we share a lot that really it's about the passion that keeps driving, keeps you going, keeps driving you to move forward. And I think that's a huge aspect of it too. But you're right. Yes, the underlying theme is that it's not easy. So, Eve, I know that you have a story that might really resonate with others who have dealt with overwhelming hardships. So, I would love at this time to kind of pivot to you and allow you the room to tell your story.
Thank you for having me. Your story was very inspiring, Hos. Now it's my turn to beat that. No, not to beat that. I enter my dorm. The phone rings. Stefan was in a car crash. If you want to see him still alive, you have to be here within 24 hours. Bam. I drop the phone. Stefan is my best friend. He's in Denver, Colorado. I'm in Belgium, in law school. I'm shaking, shocked. I must keep my head straight, somehow. How am I going to get there on time? It's the longest flight, disconnected from the world. The plane is filled with people, all excited for their upcoming holidays, and business people. I feel lost and out of place. In my thoughts, I talk to Stefan. Hold on, I'm on my way. Will he still be alive when I land? It's the longest 24 hours, but I get there on time. Nothing could have prepared me for the road ahead. Coma, brain damage, surgeries, my head is spinning. I start shaking with chattering teeth. I cover my ears. I can no longer hear it. Normally, I want to know everything, but not now. I have to stay positive. It's the only way. I tell them, look, I'm not giving up on him. As long as he fights, we do whatever it takes to support him. It's the worst nightmare, though, like I took the wrong plane. Please, somebody, pinch me so I can wake up. I receive a beeper so they can beat me when his final moments come. His doctor gives me his Bible with the words, he is as sick as a person can be. I don't understand the true value of those words. Not yet. My room is across the hospital. I have 24 hours access. I walk around from his room to mine, numb and lost. Every time when I enter his hospital room, reality hits hard. But I'm positive. I tell him jokes, like the worst jokes ever. I tell him stories. They start to notice that his brain activity calms down when I'm around. So they beat me when the tension is too high to prevent further brain damage. It's nerve-wracking. Beep, 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 beep. My heart drops a beat. I start running. Is this the end? The elevator is way, way, way too slow. The nurse waits me behind the opening doors. Hurry, hurry, quick. The tension is too high. I tell him a story. He calms down again. It all feels so surreal, like a bad, very bad movie. Across this room is a girl in coma. She's my age, early 20s. She's gorgeous with that long angel hair. She receives no visits, ever. She's fighting by herself. So every day I drop her a little visit to talk to her until the ventilator is turned off and she becomes a real angel. One day I was a first-in-class graduate student, and the other I'm spending my life hoping to somehow make a difference between life and death. Today is a special day. They told me he'll be awake. I'm so excited. In my mind, I'm thinking about everything I want to tell him. Every time when I take the elevator, I'm scared for what is behind those closed doors, but not today. The door opens halfway, I push myself through, and what's that? I feel betrayed. His eyes are open, and that's it. Not able to move nor speak, trapped in his body. This is nothing even close to the movies. After 2 long months, we can finally go home to Belgium by air ambulance. It's a crazy small plane. Seriously, you have to look it up. Do we have to cross the ocean with this? I mean, there's a doctor, a nurse, medical equipment, and a seat. No place for my bags, nor even a toilet. It only adds to the craziness of the whole situation. Come on, somebody, pinch me now, please. I notice the fear in his eyes. I explain. He doesn't understand. You trust me? His eyes soften. I make a flying gesture. You, me, fly, okay? He calms down. My heart breaks. Stuck in his body. No idea what is going on. I put law school on hold. Step by step, day by day, we work on his rehabilitation. It's a long, intense, and yes, it's a bumpy road. And people will point out the lost time. I have to disagree. I consider it one of my biggest achievements. Because he would never be able to walk again, but he walks. He would never be able to talk again, but he talks. He never knew all the things he would never be able to do again until he did them. And it's not because you believe you can that it will happen. But if you don't believe it, it definitely won't. And sometimes we all need that supportive hand to make it happen. And resilience, most of the times, is about reframing those experiences. The theme of Me to We is connecting. Connecting isn't about us. It's not about ourselves, it's about others. It's about contributing. What can I do for you? Because contribution connects. It gives us meaning. So, how will you contribute today? Thank you.
I love that. I just have goosebumps from both of you. I appreciate your stories so much. I get to spend a lot of my career listening to the military community and their struggles and stories. So getting the opportunity to do this with the lead group and for Me to We meant so much, because all of your stories that you were sharing to me, I was like, we have to get these out there. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for being so raw and open about your journeys and what you guys have experienced. But I think what I'm most thankful for is how you guys have turned it into a positive, how it's changed your life for the better, and how you've moved forward with it. So thank you so much. I'm going to pause and end the recording here.